So for the past few months, I've been growing sprouts at home in my kitchen, and today I'm going to talk about how you can start growing sprouts as well and why you should. Sprouts contain a lot of micronutrients that are often hard to get from our regular diets. Things like vitamin A, lots of the B vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin K, iron, potassium, phosphorus, lots of really good stuff in there. You can really get a lot out of just one or two servings of sprouts each day. So it's a very powerful food nutritionally. What's more interesting to me, however, is the compound that is present in some sprouts, particularly broccoli sprouts, which you find a little bit of in normal cruciferous vegetables, but it's much higher amounts in broccoli sprouts, and it's a compound called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane actually starts as what's called glucoraphanin in the sprout or vegetable, and then through the process of digestion gets converted into sulforaphane. From there, sulforaphane activates what's known as the NRF2 pathway in the body. And essentially what this is your body's defense against aging and cell damage related to aging. So oxidative stress, inflammation, things like that. And also what's very interesting is it has been shown to have anti-cancer effects in several different studies. So it's a very intriguing compound. And when you think of the term superfood, to me, this is really what comes to mind. So really a lot of good things in sprouts. It is certainly worth it to grow them for all the benefits you can get. There's also other benefits that I didn't mention. If you look up benefits of sulforaphane on Google, you'll find a very lengthy list of benefits that this one compound can provide for you. Again, this is mostly present in broccoli sprouts specifically, but you can get a lot of other great benefits from different types of sprouts, and it can be nice to mix it up a little bit and have a variety of sprouts to eat. The process of growing sprouts is actually very simple, especially once you get the routine of it down. It's very easy to do, and I find that it's actually a fun little hobby to do. So really overall, it's a win-win situation, and I'm going to show you how you can start growing your own sprouts at home. Let's check it out. To grow your own sprouts, you are going to need 1 quart wide mouth mason jars with sprouting lids, which are just mesh screens instead of a solid piece of metal, sprouting stands, or a small bowl would work as well, paper towels, the seeds themselves, and water. I'm currently using a broccoli blend from Sproutman Seeds. It consists of broccoli, broccoli rabe, radish, mustard, and arugula. I'll link it down below. The first step is to place approximately 2 tablespoons of the sprouting seeds into each mason jar. This can vary slightly based on the size of the seeds that you're using, but usually 2 tablespoons is about right. Next, with the sprouting lids on, fill the jars about halfway with room temperature water. All that really matters here is that the seeds are totally submerged in water. Then place them somewhere out of direct sunlight and let them soak for about 12 hours. This again can vary based on the seeds you're using, but I've found 12 hours to work pretty well. After they've soaked for 12 hours in the water, the next step is to drain them. Make sure you completely drain all of the water out of the jar. I like to then rotate the jars a few times so that the seeds stick to the walls of the jar rather than clump up together in one spot. This is going to give them more room to breathe and allow them to sprout more easily. Next, angle your sprouting stands at roughly a 45-degree angle and put them on top of a sheet of paper towel. Place the jars on the stands with the mesh screen facing down. This allows any excess water still in the jar to slowly drain out over time. If you don't have sprouting stands, this is where you can just use a small bowl and place the mason jar with the mesh screen facing down into the bowl. Now you just have to rinse the sprouts twice a day for about 5 days. To rinse, just fill the mason jars most of the way with water, swirl them around for a few seconds, and drain all of the water out of the jar. It is important that you drain as much water as you possibly can out of the jars before putting them back on the sprouting stands or into the bowl. You then can place them back onto the sprouting stands or into the bowls. Each day you will notice the sprouts getting bigger and bigger, and usually around day 4, they really take off. Day 5 or so, you should see them really start to green up, and soon they are ready for harvest. There's really not a wrong time to harvest the sprouts, but usually I try to wait until they get nice and green. When you are ready to harvest the sprouts, lay out some paper towels and lay out the sprouts on them. Pat them down to remove any excess water and let them dry for about an hour or two. Once they are mostly dry, you can put them into plastic Ziploc bags and put them in the fridge for storage. I've heard a lot of different methods of how to store them in the bags, whether or not you should poke holes in the bags to allow them to breathe, leave the bags open, sealed. Personally, I've found success with just leaving the bags open and leaving them upright in the fridge. So there you have it, guys. That is how you make your own sprouts at home. I hope you enjoyed this video. A few more things I would like to mention. I just want to emphasize the importance of making sure you drain as much water as possible out of the jars before you put them back on the stands. I've run into times where I haven't drained enough of the water and the sprouts end up retaining too much water and basically end up going soggy, and I have to get rid of them and start a new batch. So just make sure you spend the time. It might even take a few minutes. Just really get as much water as possible out of the jars and you should be good to go. Another thing worth mentioning is you may go to look at your sprouts one day and notice that there is some kind of white looking fuzz on them. That's okay. That's usually not mold. Most of the time, those are just little hairs that they start to grow when they're getting a little dry. So it's really just a good indication that they need to be rinsed. So after you rinse them, they should be good to go. My favorite thing to do with these sprouts is to either put them on some kind of sandwich in place of lettuce, or put them into a salad and give it a nice little crunch and a little zesty flavor. It's also fun to play around with growing different varieties. They each have a different flavor profile. You can get ones that are a little spicy, like the radish sprouts, or just some more mild tasting ones like the broccoli or arugula, but it's fun to kind of play around and figure out what your favorite kind or blend of sprouts is. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, just leave it down in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching.